Everyone, it's Nicole from Practice Indie for Just the Tip Tuesday, and we're talking about Upavishta Konasana, which is seated wide angle forward fold. So this can be a challenging posture for a lot of people, tight hamstrings, limitations for the low back, or if you have a tight low back, that can be an issue. Also, if you have like a knee injury, this can cause some troubles for you. So I'm going to give us a bunch of options to kind of work through to access this pose. So I have a lot of little toys and stuff here. So you're going to want to kind of grab a variety of things just to see which one works best for you. So I have a bolster would be best. I just have a couch cushion or like a throw pillow, a blanket, and then I do have 2 blocks too. Just as a way to kind of experiment to see what works best for you, okay? So, starting out for this pose, you'll come to a seated posture. So I'll show you without our props first, and then we'll use the props, okay? So this is a great stretch for the inner thighs. It also does stretch the low back. So you want to spread your legs out as wide as you can without any pain, okay? So I talked about the knee pain a little bit before. So if you feel any like tightness or pulling in your knees, then you're going to want to go ahead and shorten that angle. But if you can get them wide without any pain in your kneecaps or in the inside of the knee joint, then go ahead and go for it. So what's important in this posture is that you want your kneecaps and your toes pointing up. So as we start to bend forward, your knees and your toes might want to have the tendency to move forward with you, okay? So really establishing that the kneecaps point up, the toes point up, okay? So you might even want to think about rolling this outside part of your thigh down to the ground to really connect them to the earth, okay? So then the tailbone's kind of strongly established. You can find a tall spine, and then hands just come right in front of you. So this might be enough of a stretch for you right here, just finding your legs spread apart wide. But if you can start to fold into it, then go for it. So you want this motion to come from your hip joint, okay? So you don't want to bend at your waist. You want to think about keeping the tailbone rooted, but finding a tall side and then starting to bend forward. So you're almost like lifting your torso out of your hip joints and then moving over that hip joint to come forward. So hands can stay on the ground for support. I like to kind of root my tailbone down, lengthen my spine again, and then see if I can move down a little further, okay? So always trying to think about toes pointing up, kneecaps pointing up. So maybe rolling the thighs outward, root the tailbone, lengthen the spine, and then move a little deeper, okay? So you can stay here for a couple of rounds of breath. Notice if you start to feel any pulling in your knees. If you do, either come up out of the pose gently, or really think about engaging your quadriceps here to stabilize your knee joint, okay? So that can be something that you can do, or you can have like a little slight bend in your knees too. And then you just start to slowly come up, hinging up from the hips. Okay, so you can see that, I don't know if you're able to see, but I was really digging my heels down into the ground so that I can engage my quadriceps and my thighs so that I wouldn't have any pain in my right knee. So my right knee is a little bit more sensitive than my left. So I have to really be aware and conscious of how I'm moving in that direction. So just kind of, and then as you see, as I come up, my legs soften and release a little. So even though we're bending forward, it's not just about that forward motion. Our legs are being firm in this posture as well, okay? So some of us, this can be a challenging forward fold. We might have limited mobility. Our low back can mitigate that for folding forward. And also like tight hamstrings can really not let us access that pose. So if you have a bolster up or a pillow, you can try to sit on that. So you just kind of slide that underneath you. So this gets your hips a little higher than your knees, okay? So this can help so that you can keep a tall spine. If you find yourself coming down to the ground to sit and you're immediately kind of slumped back, so your pelvis kind of rotates backwards, then you're gonna wanna try to lift yourself off the ground, okay? So find something to sit on. So you can do a pillow, you can do a blanket, you can just fold it over a couple times. If you need more height, you can stack a couple pillows. You can honestly even do this sitting in a chair. So you can sit in the chair, bring your feet together, and then just spread them out and then fold forward, okay? So whatever height that you might need, okay? You can also sit on a block. I find a block to be a little bit more difficult because it's not as much surface area, it's harder, so it doesn't feel as comfortable on your tush, okay? So you're more than welcome to try that if you want. Or maybe if you have 2 blocks and you want to put them together, you can do that too, or give it a try. But I would recommend something soft, like a couch cushion or a blanket, okay? So it's the same setup here. So my hips are a little higher. I've got a long torso. I can try to spread maybe my legs out a little further, see how that works and feels. Toes point up. Tailbone still roots down, I still lengthen my spine and then start to fold forward. Okay, and then notice if you feel any pinching in the kneecaps. Okay, and then toes point up, roll the outer thighs backwards, and then maybe engage those quadriceps a little to keep the knee joint stable, and just kind of folding into this. So you can stay here for a couple rounds of breath. You can use these blocks here to rest on them. So if you wanted to just rest your forearms on them for a little bit of height, you can. If you have a little bit more depth in this posture, you can just gently rest your forehead. You don't want to put too much weight on your head because you want to be gentle with your cervical spine, but you could just gently rest it here if you'd like. So there's lots of options here, okay? So when you come out, you just kind of want to be gentle with yourself, bend the knees, then slowly bring the inner thighs together. You might kind of lean back and kind of drop them side to side, just to relax those inner thighs. And then another option I want to show you is a little bit more restorative in nature. So if you have bolsters, great. You can use a bolster for this. Like I said, I do not, so I'm just going to kind of build a little fort. I'm going to use my block to give myself a little bit more height and see how this, we're going to start with the block on the bottom actually. Okay, so I'm not going to take this as wide of an angle this time. Just going to kind of hug this in towards me and then just start to fall forward so I can lean on it. And just come into like a little bit more relaxing of a posture. So still have length in my spine, but then I give myself a chance at the end to kind of round through the shoulders to just release and relax. So leaning into the stretch through the inner thighs, through the groin, while still maintaining my toes pointing up towards the sky. Okay, so this can be an option for you. You can stay here all day and watch your favorite TV show or read a book, okay? Harry Potter, you can read Harry Potter. You'd be there a long time, okay? So that's an option for you as well. And then I have another option. It's kind of a variation of legs up the wall, okay? So this takes, lets gravity work for you in this posture, all right? So you would come up to a wall or the lovely back of your couch, kind of push your little butt cheeks up to that wall, come down to lay on your back, and then swing the legs up, okay? So you can see my feet are taller than my couch, which that's good that I'm tall enough for that. But that's not, it doesn't really matter right now because what I'm gonna do is just let my legs fall out to the side and just let gravity kind of let my legs fall down. Okay, so takes all the effort out. It really keeps a tall spine here, okay, and your toes and kneecaps should just generally point in the same direction without effort, okay? This brings it to be a little bit more relaxing. Your sacrum can release and relax here. You can just kind of let your low back press into the ground. They can be a really calming and restorative way to access this pose. It also does help with a great stretch for the inner thighs still. This also alleviates any pain that you have on the inner thighs typically because you're not using as much muscle engagement or muscle tone, okay? So to come out, you'll just gently bend your knees. You could swipe them together. Knees come in, roll over to your side, and then gently press up, okay? So I'll probably go back to that after this video is done. Just hang out there. And then one other option is you can actually work on just coming into center splits with a wall. So you would just bring yourself up to a wall, extend your legs out to the side, and then you can just kind of start moving yourself forward to see how deep you can get into it. If you want to work a little bit more on the flexibility and mobility, this can be helpful for keeping your toes pointing up and your kneecaps pointing up because the wall is giving you feedback to do that. It also can help keep a tall spine, okay? So just a couple of options. You can even do this posture with your hips raised. It'll be a little harder to kind of scoot forward because you're going to be on an object, but it's still an option for you, okay? All right, so I feel like we covered a lot of different variations today. Like I said, you can always do this posture in a chair if you wanted. So just come into a chair to sit with your legs facing forward, and then just spread them out as you're ready. So 90 degrees to 180 degrees, anywhere in between is just fine. Goal is to feel a stretch through the inner thighs, the groin, to maintain a tall spine, and then just to kind of relax into a forward fold, okay? Also stretching the low back. So that's it for Just the Tip Tuesday, and I will see you all next week. Thanks, bye.